And welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the AFC South and the NFC South. Remember, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do that now. We will be doing a live show tomorrow for the NFL draft. Really excited about that. Again, just hop in, comment, be friendly, have some beers, watch the NFL draft. If you're not watching it on TV, gives you something to do. We'll be going, pick by pick and just having a good time. Big news in Jacksonville today. Cam Robinson signed a 3-year contract. So it looks like tackle is not going to be picked at number 1. Looks like the Jaguars are going to go D-end. It'll be either be Hutchinson or Walker. So that's something to see, I guess, tomorrow. I really hope it's not Walker, but if it is, I'll cheer for him. He'll be a Jaguar. So yeah, that's about the only news I have right now. Other than that, not much going on, and so let's go ahead and just hop right in. And first up, we have the AFC South, and look at their quarterback, Davis Mills, rookie last year. Didn't really do a whole lot, 35th per PFF at quarterback, 29th in fantasy. I keep seeing a lot of Texan fans on Reddit and on Facebook and Twitter talk about how they don't need a quarterback this year. If you need one, get it next year. I feel like this was the Jaguars with Gardner Minshew. We kept talking about how we didn't need a quarterback. I love Gardner, but he was never going to win us a Super Bowl. Same thing with Davis Mills. Those limitations, it only gets you so far. So I don't see a lot out of him this year. Running back, Rex Burkhead, 52 fantasy. I know they have Marlon Mack, and I was bouncing back and forth. PFF has Rex Burkhead starting, so I just went ahead and put him in there. So again, Marlon Mack, I believe he had an Achilles injury a couple of years ago. So might have been at the beginning of last year, actually. I think it was the beginning of last year. Anyways, so yeah, you have Rex Burkhead there. Then you have Pharaoh Brown. I know they have Brevin Jordan as well. Again, PFF has Brown starting, so I went ahead and put him in there. 59th rated, tight end in fantasy. Then you look at that offensive line, and there's not a lot going on there. Larry Tunsil didn't have enough playing time last year to get a ranking, but they could draft offensive line. Throw, like it says there for PFF, throw Titus Howard in at guard, and then draft an Evan Neal or an Ickey or Charles Cross there at 3 instead of hitting the defensive side of the ball, because they do need offensive line help. And then wide receivers, Chris Moore was not the 15th rated wide receiver last year. That was a mess up on my part. Ignore that. But Brandon Cooks there at 20, and then Nico Collins at 86. I won't say Chris Moore was 115. I must have just forgot a 1. But yeah, and that's why I keep putting a wide receiver at 13, because they do need some help there. I know they don't have the quarterback, but move the mouse out of the way. They don't have the quarterback right now, but that could change next year. Might as well go ahead and get somebody in there, get them accustomed to the NFL, and with the coaching staff, if the coaching staff is still there next year. So you have Brandon Cooks there. Fantasy-wise, I'm not touching anybody. Brandon Cooks, that's about it. Maybe Nico Collins as a somebody in free agency. But Chris Moore, I'm not touching. Rex Burkhead, I'm not touching. Davis Mills, I'm not touching. Pharaoh Brown, I'm definitely not touching. Maybe Brevin Jordan, seeing if he can make the second year jump. Sorry, I keep shaking the camera. But he's not somebody I would draft. Brevin Jordan, that is. That's somebody that I would just pick up in free agency, just try to get a couple games out of him, see what he can do. But there's not a lot going on with this team. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, led by Trevor Lawrence. He was 32nd rated quarterback last year for PFF, so got that going for him. And 23rd in fantasy. Etienne was obviously hurt last year. James Robinson's hurt to start this year. Drinking my juice. Gearing up for the beer tomorrow night. Stay hydrated. But James Robinson got hurt at the end of last year. He had the Achilles injury, and then you have Travis Etienne with the Liz Frank. So could we draft a running back this year, in the third or fourth round? Possibly. Could you sign somebody? I forgot about Melvin Gordon news. We'll get to that later. Sorry, all you Javonte Williams fans. Cam Robinson comes first. There's my dog. So, Travis Etienne injured last year, same with James Robinson. So, like I was saying, could we draft a running back later or pick up a Carlos Hyde for the 19th time in free agency? Anybody but Carlos? Yes, I can see that happening. We do need help there. Evan Ingram finished 24th rated tight end last year, and I talked about it earlier a couple of videos ago that I could see him playing more wide receiver this year than actual tight end, which would be Dan Arnold at that position. I do think Evan Ingram can have a bounce back year. He's somebody I'm gonna try to grab at the end of the draft, or even if he doesn't get drafted, try to pick him up with a free agent pick before the first week. Hold on to him for a couple weeks, see what he does. If nothing, it's very, very, very low risk, high reward. Somebody that you can start, or somebody you can throw in the flex. So he's somebody I'm keeping an eye on. You look at the offensive line. I love Tyler Shatley. I don't know how many people actually know that we have somebody named Shatley, who is number 69 on our team. But yeah, he's awesome. He's a fan favorite down here. And then you have Cam Robinson, Ben Barch, Brennan Scherf, and Walker Little. Originally, PFF has Jawan Taylor starting. I don't see it. If anything, I think he could move into guard. I think Walker Little will be the starting right tackle. So not a horrible line, pretty average. Then you have Christian Kirk, had that massive contract, finished 22nd PFF and 26th in fantasy. He's going to play mostly out of the slot, and I do like that. He's got the speed. He can get open. I think he's definitely going to help out Trevor Lawrence. There's a couple of players I would have rather had, but this is what we have, and I think the future is bright with those two. Maybe pick up a wide receiver in the second or third round, or maybe even trade back up into the first. We'll see. I'm kind of hoping that Tyler Linderbaum falls down to the Bengals at 31 and the Jags trade and try to move up and grab him. So we'll see. That'll definitely help the offensive line, help Travis Etienne and James Robinson, and the third running back out a little bit. So, and obviously Trevor Lawrence. Then you have Zay Jones coming in, 68th rated wide receiver in fantasy, and then Marvin Jones, he came in at 34, so not bad. You look back at the Texans, minus that 15, because I believe it's 115, 20, 115, and 86, and then you're looking at 26, 68, and 34. So not too bad. I know a lot of people, we're crapping on the Jaguars, but they are a young team and a couple picks, and they can make some moves and become fantasy relevant. Outside of James Robinson, there hasn't been much these last couple of years, so that's something to look forward to. Next up, you have the Colts, who brought in Matt Ryan, and we will look at the wide receivers. Matt Ryan, I do not like Carson Wentz as a quarterback. I don't think he's that good. Matt Ryan, I know he's getting older, but you see last year he's 16th in fantasy, or 16 in PFF and 19 in fantasy. The guy's older. He didn't have anything to work with last year, and he was still top 20 in both. He comes in and he has Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell, and Ashton Doolin, to throw to, so that definitely helps. You have Marley Cox and Jonathan Taylor. I mean, that's way more firepower than he had last year, and that's still not good. You have Tanner complaining, every week that they need a wide receiver. They need, whatever they can get to help out their quarterbacks. They need a quarterback, somebody that they can stick to more than a year. But, that's way more firepower than he had in Atlanta. You have Jonathan Taylor there, 87.1 first, running back number 1. I mean, he just put up a monster year last year. So glad I traded for him. He had a great year. You look at that offensive line, pretty good. 25th, 26th, 32nd. So those, for the offensive line, that 25th, that's a 25th rated tackle. So left or right side. So 25th, 26th. Obviously, Ryan Kelly, the old power forward / center for Duke, back, what was that, 2010 or 2012, maybe 2008. I'm kidding, by the way. He's there at 32, and then you have Braden Smith there at 13th. So pretty good offensive line. Then you have Marley Cox. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. Marley Cox, 27th rated tight end last year. I think that has a lot to do with Carson Wentz, and same thing with Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell, and Ashton Doolin. I know 17th, 140 and 124, but again, I think that has a lot to do with Carson Wentz, more than them. There's a couple players in here, obviously Jonathan Taylor. In fantasy, I'm not picking up Matt Ryan unless it's a bye week and I need somebody. Marley Cox, I'm probably not going to grab. I know he's very athletic. I'm probably not going to grab him. Then you have Michael Pittman, who's going to be kept in our draft. Definitely taking him. Paris Campbell and Ashton Doolin, a couple guys you can get at the end of the draft, or about mid to late rounds. Somebody to keep an eye on. Preseason definitely going to show a lot in the workouts. Before preseason, the camps and everything, trying to see where everybody's at. That'll definitely help, especially with this team. Matt Ryan, huge upgrade over Carson Wentz. Tanner's happy. I saw his jersey today. He has a Carson Wentz jersey that he put tape over Wentz and put Ryan. So he's very excited. This team could definitely battle for the division. And to do that, they're going to need their wide receivers. So again, look at preseason, look at the camps, see what's going on. One of these, Paris Campbell or Ashton Doolin, one of those guys could come out as the lead number 2 wide receiver, and you can hop on that, later in the draft. Next up, you have Ryan Tannehill, finished 8th and 12th. Derrick Henry finished 22nd in fantasy, which is amazing because he missed, half the season. Austin Hooper, 25th. Then you look at that offensive line. I don't know if I had talked about, I think I might have in my mock that they do need some guard help. If Zion Johnson's there for their first round pick, that might be a smart pick for them to help out Derrick Henry and Tannehill. Instead of going corner, or I had seen a couple of people saying wide receiver, but you have A.J. Brown and Bobby Trees down there. So I don't know why they would go wide receiver. I would much rather see a guard or a tackle taken to help out. But hey, that's just me. I'm big on the O-line and D-line. I'm old school football. So yeah, you have the offensive line. Then you have A.J. Brown, 32nd last year. He's 5th rated in PFF. It definitely hurt that I can't even think of his name. I swear half my videos are just me looking something up. Julio Jones. I didn't have to look that up. Julio Jones. It hurt that he didn't do much last year. Definitely hurt A.J. Brown. And you have Bobby Trees. They bring him in, a very, very good number 2 out there in L.A. and now in Tennessee, in Nashville. And then you have Akeen down there, finished 67th. This is a good offense. I know it's definitely run first with Derrick Henry, which why wouldn't it be? But you do have Ryan Tannehill back there, who is a good quarterback. He's somebody that you can draft, and I might draft him later in the draft, or definitely look for him. I think I did last year too, or maybe the year before. I think, like I said, he's a good quarterback. He's not the fastest in the world, but he can get some yards on the ground and maybe get a touchdown or 2 during the year, and then he's got those options out wide. And then, And then we'll see with Austin Hooper, 25th last year in fantasy football, comes over, and they definitely needed a tight end, so that's a huge upgrade for them after losing Johnny Smith last year. So yeah, Hooper I'm going to look at, and then obviously A.J. Brown and Bobby Trees, maybe Akeen, but definitely Hooper is the guy I'm going to look for. Somebody that's in between the numbers, can get open against those linebackers and safeties. And then obviously Derrick Henry. Everybody's drafting Derrick Henry, so I don't know why I even have to say that. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey. He'll come up later in the video. But yeah, so that's the Tennessee Titans. They could be battling out with the Colts for the division. There's going to be some really close games between those two. So going to need all the offensive firepower they can get. All right. Next up, we have the NFC South. Did we already go through everyone? Yeah, we did, didn't we? Huh. NFC South. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady, who I drafted last year in, I want to say, the 12th round. Very happy with that pick. Nobody believed me that Tom Brady, the 65-year-old grandpa, would be a good quarterback last year. As long as Tom Brady's on a team, he feels like he can play. I'm picking him, and I'm picking everybody I can. Everybody I can on that team. So you have Tom Brady finished second last year in PFF, third in fantasy. Leonard Fournette, I slept on Leonard Fournette last year. I thought it was going to be a running back by committee. Obviously, it wasn't. Fournette took that over. I'm going to try to get Leonard Fournette as much as possible in that offense. Came in at running back 6 last year, Cameron Breit. Tight end number 30. I don't think that he'll be the starter. I still think Gronk's going to come back. I think he just wants to, hang out for the summer and then come back late summer. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of Gronk. I think he'll be back. I don't think Cameron Brate's going to be starting. If Gronk's back, definitely take him. This could be him and Tom Brady's last year, or he and Tom Brady's last year. So I'm going to try to get as many shares of those three as possible. Then you look at that offensive line. That is a stacked offensive line, minus left guard. But other than that, it's a very, very good offensive line. Then you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage. Like I said, everybody on this team I'm trying to take in the draft. Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, not Cameron Brate, but Gronk, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Russell Gage. I'm trying to grab all of them. Mike Evans, wide receiver number 9. I'm keeping him in my fantasy team or my fantasy league. He's just somebody that you never know when he will get 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Next week he might put up 15 yards and no touchdowns, but those huge weeks, those definitely help out when you need them. I mean, he doesn't have the best floor, but his ceiling is through the roof. Then you have Chris Godwin, who was hurt at the end of last year. We'll see how he starts this year, which is big for Russell Gage. So if you can draft Russell Gage, keep him for a week or two and then try to ship him off if you can for somebody else, somebody that's, might be starting off bad. Like an A.J. Brown, maybe he's starting off bad. And they really need somebody. Send Russell Gage and another player for him. And then, A.J. Brown turns it on at the end of the year. So I'm definitely looking at Russell Gage and then also Chris Godwin. So again, if they have Tampa Bay on their jersey, you're taking them. Minus Cameron Brate. You're taking Gronk. So just change that. Next up, you have the Carolina Panthers, and this is I will eat it that I had faith in Sam Darnold last year. I thought it was a Jets organization. Obviously, it wasn't. It was Sam Darnold. So he finished 28th quarterback in fantasy last year. Christian McCaffrey, 36. He was injured last year. Tommy Tremble, 46 at tight end. Nothing on that offensive line. And I don't have Carolina picking a quarterback at 6. I have them taking a tackle because they need help. I don't think, Malik Willis is the answer. I don't think Kenny Pickett's the answer. I don't think Sam Howell is the answer. Matt Corral, I don't think any of those guys are the answer. I think Charles Cross might help tremendously for the next quarterback because obviously Sam Darnold is not your future. You have DJ Moore there, wide receiver, Robbie Anderson, and Terrace Marshall. Terrace is still young. If you're in Dynasty, he might be somebody I'm taking to try to see who the next quarterback will be. You have Robbie Anderson there at 49, and then DJ Moore at 18. Again, another young player. Finished 26 in PFF at 76.9. It's not too bad, but they're going to be throwing the ball a lot because they will be down a lot. And I don't know if Sam Darnold's the one that should be throwing the ball, but then again, I don't think you put a rookie in with this team. This looks like the Jags from last year. No wide receivers, no offensive line. I really wish that they would just trade Christian McCaffrey. Because this team in Houston, you should just leave alone. Just don't even touch. So, yeah. Christian McCaffrey, you're always taking him. I'm not taking him high. I'm not taking him top 5 picks because he doesn't have an offensive line. He doesn't have a quarterback. He doesn't have the receivers. He doesn't have the tight end to help him out. So if he's going top 5 in your drafts, that's totally fine. If people are excited about that, they're crazy, they're high. I don't know what to tell you. Been drinking too much. They're on the hash. Yeah. DJ Moore later in the draft. He was wide receiver 18 last year. I don't remember where he was going. Where was he going? 4th, 5th round? That's probably where I'd take him in our draft. Probably. I don't know if I'd take him in the 1st round. He's a good player, but I don't trust it. Maybe 2nd or 3rd round. If I needed a wide receiver 2 or 3. Definitely not my wide receiver 1. I definitely don't trust that. And again, in Dynasty, Terrace Marshall down there at the bottom, 138 last year. 53.3 grade. He showed a few flashes. Next up, the New Orleans Saints. Jameis Winston. Mr. Crab Legs himself. 18th and 32nd quarterback. He got injured last year. He was having a decent year last year before he got injured. I was kind of surprised. Alvin Kamara. This is a huge difference. PFF grade is 63.2, 51st rated running back, and 8th in fantasy. So obviously PFF didn't like what he was doing last year, and I don't know why. I'd have to go back and take a look, break down his stats. I was very surprised when I saw that. Adam Troutman was supposed to be having a breakout year last year, and getting injured, and the Juwan Johnson came in, big guy. I think he played college basketball. Can jump through the roof. He had a couple games where he'd score 2 touchdowns, and it was crazy. So those two could battle it out. Adam Troutman, and then you have not Tamus. Why can't I think of his name? Hill. I almost said Tamus Winston. I can't think of his name. That happens. I'm getting old. You look at that offensive line. Not a lot going on there. I know that they lost their left tackle. Oh, sorry about that. Lost their left tackle last year, and free wasn't free agency. I think they ended up trading him. They need the cap. They need the cap room. So I think this is about to be the downturn of the New Orleans Saints. Go back to the Aints. Michael Thomas, I had him on my team. Trade him. Get him out of there. Get him on a fantasy relevant team. Marquez Callaway, and then Treyclone Smith, 43rd and 80th. We'll see what Jameis can do this year. He'll actually have Michael Thomas this year instead of this Marquez Callaway. And will they draft a wide receiver in the 1st round? That's something to watch. I see a lot of mocks doing that. I don't know if people are forgetting that they do have Michael Thomas coming back with Alvin, but drafting a wide receiver in the 1st round, that's kind of saying something. So, maybe a trade back into the 2nd round, draft a wide receiver there. But, if they do get like a Chris Olave or Traylon Burks or somebody like that, that'd be very interesting to see, with Michael Thomas and then Kamara, how they use that player. So, like I said, it'll be interesting. We'll see what Jameis can do now, with a full year back and healthy, and does he still have that number one overall potential he had. What was that, 2012, 2011? We'll see. I'm a fan of Jameis, in football wise. So I hope he does have a bounce back year. I think that'll help out. Obviously, his wide receivers and his tight end. Alvin Kamara, I'm taking, but again, I'm not taking him top 5. Michael Thomas, I'm taking, but I do want to see how his health is first. Marquez Callaway, I don't know. He was supposed to be huge last year, and I remember it was the last preseason game. He lit it up, and he shot up the draft boards. People are reaching for him. As high as you could imagine, and didn't really set the world on fire like he was supposed to. Then you have Treyclone Smith down there at the bottom, coming in at 80th last year. It's about average with his 87th per PFF grade that he had, so not too bad. Next up, you have the Atlanta Falcons. You have Marcus Mariota coming in. They lose Matt Ryan and bring in Mariota as kind of a stopgap quarterback. Cordarrelle Patterson, he had a monster year last year. Can he do that again this year? It was amazing. The first couple of games you see it and you're like, wow, what this guy could have been, and then you think it's going to stop and he's just going to, not even get close to what he was doing, and it was amazing to keep watching him, week after week, put up 100 yards or a couple touchdowns or get that long gain of 50, 60 yards. So, we'll see what they can do. Wide receiver / running back that he was, and he, most teams have him just a wide receiver. So, throughout his career, you have Kyle Pittster. Had a great rookie season last year. 5th per PFF. That's really good for a rookie. And then 8th in fantasy, which you never see. Usually it takes 2 or 3 years. So, Dan picked him really early, and it only took a couple weeks till he finally broke out. It might have been the game in London, actually. I think he had 100 yards and a touchdown. So that was really cool to watch. You look at that offensive line, though, not a lot to brag about. Trying to think of what pick they have. They had 8. I don't remember. But yeah, they need offensive line help. And then Kadero Hodge, Demir Bird, and Zacchaeus. Olamide Zacchaeus. 141, 109, 78. Again, Matt Ryan didn't have anything to work with last year. They lose Calvin Ridley. First they lost Julio, then they lose Calvin Ridley, and then they lose Russell Gage. There's not a lot on this team. Outside of Patterson, I'm not taking anybody here. Marcus Mariota is not going to bring him back, to the fantasy relevance, and I don't see it in the wide receivers. Do they have 8? Because I keep saying they need to draft a wide receiver. I think it'll be the first wide receiver that you see taken off the board. Could that be Garrett Wilson here? But still, I don't think Marcus Mariota is a quarterback to do anything. If you see that wide receiver go to them, Garrett Wilson or Drake London or Traylon Burks, Chris Olave, anybody like that, they go here. They're going to shoot up fantasy draft boards, and in Dynasty, okay, that's fine. But for just next year, just for a redraft, I'm not touching that player. That player is not going to get 1,000 yards, and that player's going to be pretty high up there to try to get. So I'm not risking it. I'm letting somebody else take him. I'll take Kyle Pitts or Cordarrelle Patterson later on. Maybe Zacchaeus, but I didn't really like him last year. All right, so I'm going to leave it on that for a minute. We were talking earlier about Cam Robinson, and I totally forgot about Melvin Gordon going to getting re-signed by the Broncos. I thought Javonte was going to have a I had him ranked on my top 5 running backs for sure, with a chance to move up to number 3. That hurts. Do I think Javonte is going to be the running back 1? Yes. But Gordon's, it could be a 60-40 split. We saw it last year, or it was pretty much 50-50 for a long time. They both had their own big games. I still think it's going to be 60 Javonte, but I'm probably going to try to get Melvin Gordon everywhere I can, just in case Javonte goes down. You have a running back 1. He's proven it in the past. Yes, he's up there in age, but there's a couple years where he didn't get the workload like most running backs. So, are they trying to save his legs as much as possible and try to make a push into the playoffs? That's one way to do it. You already have the stud running back. Go ahead and bring Gordon back. That's something to look at. And then tomorrow for the NFL draft, and I said at the beginning, like I said, I'm gonna try to put like a little deal on here where it starts up about 7:30, and if nobody joins me, that's fine. I'll sit here and I'll crack open a few beers and I'll watch the fantasy draft myself, pick by pick. But if you're bored, if you're just scrolling through YouTube and the draft's on, or a lot of people my age right now, we don't have cable TV. We hop on YouTube, and that's where we watch our stuff. So if you're one of those people, instead of watching out the blurred draft where, it has the NFL across the thing and you're seeing just a little, a couple speckles of a person walking up to the podium and it's music in the background because they can't really hear they can't play anything because of copyright. Those are a waste. Just come in here, just join in. Again, we can talk football, we can talk fantasy. We just pretty much, just talk, shoot the shit and just hang out and, as a community. So, I will see everybody tomorrow at 7:30. If you're here, cool. If you're not, that's cool. I'll be here. I'll have a few beers and then just hang out and watch the draft. And I'll put in, what I think is a good pick and what's not a good pick. And I hope you guys do the same. So I hope you guys all have a good night. I have my new lights. Hopefully you can see me better. My new chair comes in tomorrow. Perfect. So I can watch the draft in it. This thing that I've been sitting in hurts my back so much. This is wooden chair. So, all right. Well, everyone have a good night.